It's no big surprise that modern women exploit men. I'll be honest with you guys, it is true. But it's not true that you're a victim. It's not true that it's all women's fault. It's your fault, guys. And I'm going to tell you why in this video. And it's not meant to attack you, but it's meant to enlighten you so you can understand that you are a man. You have control over your life. You have control over not allowing women to exploit you and disrespect you. And I'm going to tell you exactly how they're doing it and how you can stop. So the very first thing that you need to understand is an overarching principle in life that is you get what you accept. This is really straightforward, really simple. If you accept a certain behavior from people, you will get that behavior. It applies to all relationships that you have in life. I have so many guys I coach that they accept their parents disrespecting them. They accept their parents guilting them. They accept all of these things that they don't want, and so they get more of it. When I tell them, stop accepting what you don't want, guess what happens? Their life changes. Now, it's a little bit difficult. They disappoint some people. They have to step on some toes sometimes, but they stop getting the kind of treatment that they don't want because you're always going to get what you accept. This applies also just in your life financially and physically or anywhere in your life. So if you are broke right now, and you're in some dead-end job or whatever it is, you're accepting that level of income, you're accepting that level of wealth, and so you're going to get that. But if you say to yourself, hey, I don't accept that. I am not going to do this. I am not going to allow myself to be here. You're going to figure out a way to not be there. I talk about in some videos this idea of delusions of grandeur. I have delusions of grandeur. I think I'm better than I am. I honestly do. Now, why do I do this? Because it's so much better than the alternative. Because if I believe I am a God walking amongst men, I will have to act like and perform like it. There's a reason why I have a superior physique. There's a reason why I run ultra marathons. There's a reason why I make a shit ton of money and I work so hard and do all of these things in my life. The reason why is because I believe that I am this high, that I am at this level. And so I have to perform at that level because that's what I believe about myself. So I don't accept anything less than being a top 1% man, a top 0.1% man. That's the only thing that I accept. So what do I get? I get that. So you're always going to get what you accept. The same thing fitness-wise. If you accept that you are fat and lazy, you're going to be fat and lazy. But if you're like, I don't accept this, you're not going to get this. The next thing to understand about this and why women are able to exploit men is because you train people how to treat you. People will treat you exactly the way that you've trained them to do it, just like an animal, just like a dog. In fact, I know several couples who have pets, and the dog acts a different way in front of one of them than the other one. In front of one person, it gets away with all kinds of stuff. It does all kinds of stuff it's not supposed to be doing. The other one, it listens, it obeys, it does what it's supposed to be doing. That dog, it knows the difference. Why? Because it's been trained to treat one person a different way than the other person. You can do the same thing in your life. You can train every single person that's in your life on how to treat you. If someone talks to you the wrong way, you need to correct that and say, hey, don't refer to me this way. I find that disrespectful. I don't like being called that name. This is what we're going to talk about next, which is starting to get into boundaries here. But you ultimately train people how to treat you. So if a woman is disrespecting you, if she's treating you the wrong way, if you're in a relationship, whatever it is, and you allow that to happen, then you're training her to treat you that way. You're training her to abuse you, to take advantage of you, to exploit you as a man. But you have the option to not do that or not even have those people in your life if they're not going to conform to that. Again, a lot of guys I coach, they have to train their parents to treat them in the right way. They have to say, hey, look, I love you, Dad, but you're not going to talk to me like that. Nobody talks to me like that. Guess what happens when you do that 3 or 4 times? All of a sudden, that person becomes trained, and they're like, oh, yeah, I better not say that. I better not act in that way. The same thing, I'm sure when you went to school, the teacher trained you on how to treat the teacher. Why do you show respect to the teacher and raise your hand and do all this stuff? Because you've been trained to do that. So you have to train people how to treat you in your life. And a lot of you guys, you're training women to treat you in the wrong way. I see so many weak men that are doing this. The third thing to understand about this, and actually before we get into the third thing, is let's talk a little bit about the financial aspect of things. Are you accepting a mediocre life right now? Like everyone else, if you want to become financially free while you're still young, you have to have that as a standard. If you don't have that as a standard, then you are not going to get that. Remember, you get what you accept. So for me, the reason why I retired at 33 years old was because I did not accept that I was going to have to wait till I was 60 or 70 years old to retire. I did not accept that. What did I get? I got what I did accept, which was the only thing that was acceptable to me, which was that I was going to retire young. I was going to figure out some way to do this. I was going to do whatever it takes because that's what I deserve. deserve. It's almost like in a form of entitlement. Again, the delusions of grandeur by having this high view of myself. So if you are struggling financially, if you don't have a plan for financial freedom, if you don't know how to retire young, I'll tell you what, you got to set a new standard. If you want some help setting that standard, click the link down below and let's jump on a free 15-minute call and discuss this. But regardless of how you do this, you need to have that new standard. I know a lot of you guys, you're like, oh no, I can never retire, I can never do that. Look, let's jump on a call, click the link down below, and let's talk about this and come up with a plan and start to raise that standard, raise what you're willing to accept in life so that you don't accept anything less than reaching your financial goals. If you do that, I promise you things will change, just like they'll start changing with women when you start setting the standard with women. Now, the last thing that is really, really important and how to actually turn this around and change this is that you have to create boundaries and standards instead of expectations. A lot of you guys, the reason why you're so disappointed in your life, the reason why you feel like a victim is because you have all these expectations. Expectations are burdens you put on other people. Standards are things you have for yourself. So maybe you have an expectation that women are going to treat you a certain way and then they don't. And then you feel like they're exploiting you. And this is all in your head because you made the choice to have this expectation. You should have no expectation that anyone will treat you in any way, but you should have a standard for how you'll allow people to treat you. For example, I did a talk at one of the men conferences here, and I remember on stage, and people were upset by this, I said, you should not expect that your girlfriend won't cheat on you. And people were like, oh my God, how can you say that? That's ridiculous. They're ready to hang me, to boo me off the stage. And I said, look, here's the thing. You can't expect that, just like you can't expect the weather to be what you want it to be. But what you can do is you can have a standard that says, hey, if you cheat on me, if you're not faithful to me, then I will not be with you. That's something you can control. It's a standard that you have for yourself. There's actually a really good book on this called Boundaries. It's a little religious, but it's still a good book. So read that book if you haven't read it. You got to set some clear boundaries that say, this is what I will tolerate. This is you setting what you're going to accept. And by enforcing those boundaries, you're training people on how to treat you. Because if someone calls me a name and I say, hey, don't talk to me like that, I don't appreciate that. Now, if they continue to do that, I can use the most powerful weapon I have, which is my feet. I can walk away. I can exit the conversation. I can leave the room. I can stop giving that person, whether that be a girl or a guy or a family member, my attention, which is the most valuable asset that I have. I can just not pay attention to them. I can ignore them. I can cut them out of my life. I have a standard that says that if people want to be in my life, they have to act a certain way. They have to do certain things. If they don't want to comply with that standard, I don't need to put an expectation on them. That's fine with me if they want to do that. But if they want to be in my life, then I have a standard for everything in my life. And we need to do that and get rid of the expectations. That's what I have found is really useful is I get rid of these expectations. I don't have expectations on people. I don't have expectations on things. Instead, I have standards for how I'm going to live and what I will accept. And those are things that are in my full control. And so I don't end up having to be butthurt or feeling like the victim or anything like that. Now, if you want some help setting some boundaries, I actually made a video that tells you exactly how to set boundaries because I know this is a difficult thing for a lot of you guys. So watch this video next.